Amazing show. My friend and colleague Amanda has been looking at some of my raw footage and made a really amazing discovery today. And we're going to talk about a really cool truth I've never discussed before. That's yeah, just something I haven't been very comfortable talking about, but now's a good time to discuss it. So let's get into it. We'll have a good show today. So thanks for tuning in, and let's get into it.
For the past 10 years, I've been conducting expeditions, documenting chronicles, and interviewing people pertaining to the subject of Sasquatch. With over 20 years worth of hardcore backcountry expedition experience into the most remote regions, I've tracked and studied various North American species that have had little to no exposure to civilization. I am a student of many disciplines, trained in the art of tracking by a Cree Nations elder and a military sniper. My skill sets include camouflage techniques using the terrain and its features to mask ground movement, obstacle crossing, camping positions, effective observation, camouflage penetration, counter surveillance, survival, evasion, and escape techniques. In 2006, my team and I publicly showed two separate crystal clear Bigfoot videos I personally filmed, which we used to petition the Canadian government for species protection of Bigfoot.
Today's story is about video 3. Question from the cooperation today was, how come it wasn't a bigger deal? Because video 3 is such a big deal. And it was a big deal because literally when you watch video 3, you're watching a Sasquatch move faster than the fastest man on the planet can move. And it was analyzed and studied, and a ton of work went into it. But you know, you could say that about the Patterson footage. You could say that about a lot of different pieces of footage. So, you know, it was a big story when it came out, and you know, it just kind of gets forgotten and you know, thrown into the lore of, you know, another piece of evidence that Sasquatch really exists. So yeah, I still love the footage. I'm very proud of it. I'm really happy to be looking into it more today. We're going to see a really cool breakdown of the footage that is one of my squirrel friends that Amanda's done. So yeah, and have a really cool look at it. But I guess something that we're going to talk about something that I've never spoken of, and that's the reality of having filmed it and what was going through my mind when I filmed it. So we'll talk about that next in the art of Sasquatch. You have to know that when I went out on this expedition, this expedition was so enormously pivotal in my life, because we filmed video 2 and video 3 and everything that happened in between there. Really, what was happening in this time in my life was I was getting over the whole paradigm that Sasquatch is, I had theories that just were incorrect. I was certain the species couldn't exist, and I was absolutely completely wrong. And after filming video 2 and seeing the evidence of what happened, I mean, it was very clear to me that Sasquatch is in fact real. And then, you know, on day 2 out there, we had an encounter I've talked about a few times where a Sasquatch came up and touched the tent that I was sleeping in, which was absolutely terrifying. But again, so this is so I'm really in shock, and I really wanted to go home. I was, honest to God, I was so done with this whole expedition. The expedition was being led greatly due to the other two people, Trevor and Michael, my biologists from Great Falls, Montana. So they had all these plans and stuff, and I was just kind of going along, keeping people safe, using my wilderness expertise. But they had these plans to do these videos and have this incredible success, which, you know, worked out amazingly well. But I'll tell you, so in video 3, when you watch it, I'm telling you, I was so terrified. I was so scared. I saw a Sasquatch. Sasquatch was there, and I'll tell you, when I'm holding the camera for video 3, I'm not zooming in, I'm not getting any kind of, not worried about focus or anything like that. If I had done that, the footage would be infinitely superior. But I was just hanging on to I'm just so scared. I was really, really scared. It was becoming very clear to me that Sasquatch are real, and the whole issue that comes with that are there's these giant primates that live out in the wilderness. We don't know much about them, and they're terrifying. They're enormous. They're powerful. The things that the athletic capabilities they have are absolutely stunning. So all these things are going through my head, and I'll tell you, so we ran to get to that spot where video 3, Trevor had seen that Sasquatch come out, and I'm just looking everywhere else. I was just, you know, I was really terrified. My legs were burning from running a good distance, but more than that, my body, my heart was just going, because, you know, there was Sasquatch out there, and I was I'd only had days to get this into my brain, this miracle reality of the species actually existed. And I'll tell you that Trevor, his mindset, because he's extremely brave and knew about Sasquatch, that Sasquatch was actually supposed to come right towards us in video 3, and luckily he didn't even cross the creek that was down there, and he just kept moving on. But I'll tell you, if he came around us, I was gonna run. I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie, I was absolutely petrified in fear, and I was so relieved when I saw that Sasquatch run away. And I'll tell you, after that footage was done, I stopped recording, and I told Trevor right there, I said, we're going to go get Michael and we're done. This expedition is over. I can't handle this anymore. And he had all these plans, all these things to do. And I came back, sometime later and went over, where it was filmed and all that stuff. But I was not ready to do that day. I was just tremendously overwhelmed. I was in absolute shock and fear, and I had to go home and process this. And I've seen this a lot with expeditioners. I've seen it a lot with people that come out with me. They'll see a Sasquatch and not even really believe it, because it's such an enormous paradigm to come over, and they have to go home and think about it and let it process and sink in, because it's such a big deal. And I admire and respect people for being so real about it. And anyways, we'll go through video 3 now. What's really cool about this video 3 today is Amanda Joseph has gone over it. She made a really big discovery that halfway through the video, the Sasquatch actually falls down. So not only does a Sasquatch run faster than the fastest man on the planet can run, after having run, probably 5 kilometers to get there through dense bush. So he ran 5K, and then he ran the distance that he ran, about between 114 and 117 meters, faster than the fastest man on the planet. And he did it while slipping one time. He actually slipped. And Amanda's gone through it frame by frame brilliantly and discovered that. So watch the video a couple times here, enjoy, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday live, and the next week, Saturday video. Thank you very much for tuning in. By the trees. I got it. Oh. By the trees. I got it. Oh. So this is where we shot video 3. This is Sylvanic, and this is one of the first areas you come into when you rock climb through the mountains from whichever direction you want to get into it. And this is pretty much precisely where we first saw the animal. There's absolutely no coincidence that we were in this area. It was a cleverly devised sort of cat and mouse game that we played. But I mean, this is a heavily wooded area, and this is pretty much one of the most clear spots we get to. There's a little river flowing down there, and this is where we decided to try to see if we could catch an animal coming across, and we did. So it's not likely you can see me right now, but this is where the animal started out. This was where it had stopped and waited for us to hone in on it. Well, it wasn't waiting, it thought that we weren't aware of it, but we certainly were.
I don't see anything. See him above there, by the trees. I got it.
Clearly when it became aware of us, this is where it bolted up, I guess the shot we call the ass shot. And on the video that we have, it's 4 seconds. So from this point, right now, it's hard to see, but this is 20 feet up at least. So the animal accelerated from a stopping point here to into the woods up in the top in approximately 4 seconds. So I'll just get up there. I'm not going to try to sprint it because it's significantly steep and it's almost more of a climb than you might want to know. So up here, this is where we have our ass shot of the animal. I'm standing here about 6'3" with my shoes on, 210 pounds. And from here, the animal traversed this area, which is very, very steep, probably a minimum of 65 degrees, I would say, and disappeared into the woods. Before I get to over there, it's important, we did a little test a few minutes ago and I thought it was kind of neat observation. We took a stick like this one and I threw it down, and I'll count to where the animal started and we'll see how long it takes the stick to land. It took the animal approximately 3 seconds to get here, maybe another second to disappear into the woods. So if I throw this stick, 1/1000, 2/1000, hits the ground at about 3/1000. So as fast as gravity can pull that stick down, it's 3 seconds. That's how fast the animal accelerated up this hill and threw on into these trees. Okay, so this is the second part of where we saw the animal come out through these woods. I'm not even going to try to go through there. It's just dense bush. And what's ironic about this is we chose this spot because there was a clearing there and we assumed the animal would have to go crash into the river, in which case we would have been right on top of him. And Trevor, being as he is, probably would have ripped a hair sample off him physically, but it didn't happen because the animal went through this area, which is just insane. The rocks here are everywhere and they're on this huge slope, and you step on them and they turn out and there's just absolutely no path through here at all. And it's slippery and there's just no way around all this stuff. So the animal did its entire run from the beginning to end in approximately 17 seconds. So I'm assuming, I mean, there's just no way to know which way it went through, but came across like this and then just somehow managed to move through here. This is kind of, again, a relative shot. I'll try to get into an open area where you can see my size, comparatively speaking, to the animal. And then just went through this probably a little easier area. And then here it's just a wall of trees. It didn't seem to hit any trees. There was no movement in the trees. It just moved through them smoothly. I think I got it. We chose this spot because we just thought there was no way he could come through here. And not only did he make it through here, he flew through here. These animals don't stand around for pictures. They're obviously very elusive animals. They're clearly nocturnal. The first night that we spent here was terrifying, to say the least. There were sounds all night. It was a whole incident that I don't ever care to repeat.